All right. Welcome back, everyone, to
We're
another
back!
season. Finally, a whole, month later?
Yeah, we took a break.
Yeah, sorry. Life. We've been busy and just trying to, work on the salon and on ourselves and also figure out how to be on YouTube.
That's been something.
Yeah, it's a lot. I honestly thought it was going to be easier, and then we tried it and it was just like, oh, man, this is
so many moving parts, so much
Yeah.
equipment we need that we don't have, so much. It was way more than we bit off way more than we could chew.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, life, on top of that, for me, sick kids,
Right.
COVID scares, which thank
Yes.
God we're all negative.
Thank God.
So all that stuff kind of just put us behind, and then just some unusual funkiness on my end too. Like I know I was feeling very down and depressed, and
Same.
was trying to figure out what that was all about, and so yeah.
I feel you. I mean, we were both feeling the intensity of, I guess, the collective energy and ourselves too internally, but it took a toll, you guys, not gonna lie. I mean, it was really tough, and it was kind of like, man, do we still want to do this? Are we good enough to do this? I mean, all these things, but we've sorted it out, and here we are, and we're so happy to be back at last.
Yes,
because we really love recording. I mean, it's fun, we enjoy it, and we really find it rewarding to have other listeners out there that are resonating with what we're talking about, going through similar things. It feels like, okay, well, we're not alone in this.
Yeah. And so for that, thanks for coming back and listening to our new season, episode 1 of season 2, and for always being supportive and
Thank you.
All the stuff, likes, messages, all the things that we've been doing to kind of stay relevant during this break,
somewhat,
as we're trying to figure out how to continue with our podcast and bring you good topics and bring good episodes, and as we also navigate through this thing called life.
Life. Life, yes.
So what should we talk about today? So we don't have like a set topic for today. We really just wanted to come back in here and say hi again to everybody, reintroduce ourselves like Jay-Z says, and just kind of catch up because it's been a minute, and there's a lot of stuff that's been going on obviously during these times.
Literally, so UFO stuff, politics, COVID, all. I'm like, hold up, what the hell? Like, what is... I thought 2021 was going to be a little bit more chill compared to last year, but Lord.
No.
I was wrong.
No, I think 2021 is just an extension of 2020.
I agree with that.
It's almost like the cleanup.
Yeah,
the
aftermath.
Like you had 2020 was a party, and everybody was in it and doing the things and being wild, and now it's time to like start clean up the party, the mess.
I just thought of
and that's not a good time.
No, or like after a hurricane, like we have hurricanes here because we live so close to Galveston, and after the hurricane, it's like, oh, everything's a mess and
rebuilding.
Yeah, time to rebuild.
Yeah.
Time to learn and time to grow.
Yeah.
But so it's been interesting. The year kicked off for us with intensity. Intensity, you guys. And I'm sure there's a couple of you out there that are probably able to be like, yeah, same. Same here. So
yeah, I'm sure a good majority.
Yeah, for sure, actually. I wonder, I know there's intuitives out there that are saying that it has a lot to do with the planets, the way that they're placed, but also I know old books, like sacred books in specific religions, they believe like we've talked about it before, the Great Awakening, the conjunction, all of that's actually occurring right now as we speak, which is why we see all of the things that are happening in the world around us that are not typical of what we've experienced, at least. Yeah.
I think to touch on that, we should talk about the Great Conjuncture. What did you think about that?
Everything's a blur now. I'm going to be honest.
So for those of you that either didn't listen to the last episode or aren't sure what we're talking about, we are talking about the Great Conjuncture that happened on December 21st, was it?
Oh, yes, it was.
So when Jupiter and
when
Saturn
we thought the world was
aligned,
going to end.
Twitter was a Twitter with like everybody was going to get superpowers.
I remember. Oh, now it's coming back to me. Yes.
And so, we knew it was going to be a significant day. We the blogs, the groups, the boards have been all of talking about, what does it mean?
Yes.
What is it going to mean for us spiritually? Lots of YouTubers had a lot of predictions, very similar to like the Mayan end calendar in 2012, right? Is the world going to end? Is it just going to end as we know it? I mean, what does it really mean?
Is Jesus going to come down? Are the aliens going to come down? What's going on?
So much stuff. And then what made me laugh so much, and I was like, really, guys, is I saw a lot of Twitter where people were like, when I get my powers, I'm going to be a villain. No. And I was like, this is why nobody is getting powers.
Good Lord.
We are not ready.
No, well, some of us are ready, but other people, they still have, some things to go through. I think to wake
some shadow
up
work.
Some shadow work, exactly. Yeah, now I remember. Girl, these last couple of weeks have been a blur. I know you feel me on that. But yeah, when the Great Conjunction stuff happened, there, like you said, there's so many memes. And even it's funny because even people who are not of the spiritual community were aware that it was trending. I mean, it was hashtag The Great Awakening, hashtag December 21st. And I thought that was really awesome. Like, it's becoming part of society now.
Right.
It's no longer like an underground thing.
No, it's becoming more acceptable. It's more, I hate to use the word trendy because to me that it makes me feel like it's going to eventually fade out and stop, and then it'll be something else.
That's true.
And maybe it will. I mean, spirituality's been around since forever, right? It's not anything new. It goes through its trends. Like in the 1800s, you had like the séances and all that stuff, and it was all great, and people were all about it. And then the frauds got caught, right? And kind of ruined it for the people that were legitimately doing these things. And so I think, maybe at some point in the next couple of years, it'll fade away in terms of the media or mainstream. But for the most part, I feel like, it's good. Like, it's going to stay. And people are now starting to realize, well, my spirituality doesn't necessarily have to align with a religion or an organization or an individual that claims to be closer to God than me. And then I need them to then continue. Right. So we'll see. We'll see what happens because, I mean, look at us, right? We're daughters of immigrants, right?
Yeah.
And did we ever think that this is something that we would even be talking about or knowing about or practicing? Because eso no.
We didn't grow up that way. We weren't taught about these things. So for it to be something that we're interested in is really interesting, and I love it. I find it to be something that's ourselves. It's our most authentic self.
Right.
And
I'm having a great time debunking all this, like this old thought process of like brujeria, right?
Yeah.
Of saying, okay, well, all these things are negative, all these things are, not good. And so I feel that in that way, our podcast has really related to a lot of people because it's like, brujeria was like this thing we don't talk about, we don't look into it, it's just bad, it's not good. And
pero ahí vienen con el huevo cuando se les ofrece, when they need a cleanse, ahí están, get an egg, ahora sí, a eso sí. But everything else is like, no, that's all bad.
Esas cosas no.
No, it's all part of it. And it's not all bad like we've talked about before. It's not. There is some bad in it. There are some scammers. There is people out there that are doing things with malintent. But a lot of the stuff, too, can be used for good.
Right. And it's all about how you use it, which we continue to say and will continue to say because, and a lot of it is the divine, feminine energy that has been suppressed for so long, for so many centuries because of religion and all that stuff. So,
it's the great
I've been really enjoying reading up on it and kind of seeing for myself how things played out and why. And so for me, I had a weekend where I rewatched the Dan Brown book. Oh God, that movie with Tom Hanks.
Which one?
From the book that Dan Brown wrote. It's Angels and Demons is one of them. And the Da Vinci Code.
Yeah, I was about to say it.
So I rewatched the Da Vinci Code.
That's crazy.
Thanks to Netflix.
Oh my God. Those movies are insane. There's so much symbolism there.
Right. And even then, when it first came out, well, I read the book first, right? So great book. Blew my mind. It kind of was at a time when I was really kind of looking at alternative things just because it's like, this stuff doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand this, like why things are the way they are. And then that book came out and I read it and that kind of and it was right on around the time that I started becoming ancient alien-y.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just kind of like, man, all this stuff is coming out and it's really talking to me. And so rewatching that movie now, and then I also rewatched Angels and Demons, it really put in perspective the agenda at the time, which was to strip away the female power of curanderismo, healing, midwifery, things like that, that were all very feminine driven talents.
Right.
Before Christianity, women were the majority were like the healers, the medical professionals of the time with herbs and medicines and that sort.
Yes.
And then the church decides, well, we want to be the superpower. We want to be the church. So we have to now take that away from them and give that power to ourselves.
Yes.
Because we need people to need us so that we can then continue our agenda. And so this man, and I don't have all the details because, I didn't put any notes together. We're just kind of winging it here today.
We're improvising.
He's this clergyman. He's the one who wrote the book on witches and witchcraft and how to identify witches, how to capture them, how to torture them, how to cleanse them of their, their ways or their beings. And so these were all women that were usually, either widow or older women that were like left, their husbands died and they didn't have children, or, kind of outcast people that people would go to and say, hey, I need help. Or they were just simply powerful in their community and they were a threat to the church. So he wrote this book, and basically he wrote the book on how to capture and kill witches and why witches were so detrimental to spirituality, and they were evil and they were bad. Jeez. And so, and when you read on the history of this person, it's really a case of obsession. So he was obsessed with this woman. This woman wanted nothing to do with him. She didn't like him, so she rejected him. And that's when he decided, I'm going to write this book. And he tried to have her tried as a witch since she didn't want to be with him. And so that's when the witch trials really started, because of this book that he wrote. And I started to read a little bit of it, just a couple chapters, and it's just bad.
This is, it's shocking to me, but it makes sense because from my own personal experience with guys and rejecting a guy, they take it to the heart.
Oh, yeah.
It messes them up. It messes up their pride. They get really upset. So for this guy to go out there and write a whole book and try to get this woman.
He started a whole movement.
Yeah.
His book, which was written somewhere in the 1400s, is what was used to justify the witch trial, the Salem witch trials and killings, not just here in America. But the Salem witch trials is when that stuff got to the New World, right? But they were already doing that in Europe since the 1400s. Right. Since he wrote this book, he pretty much got the okay from the church, and so it was like, find as many, kill as many, let's get rid of them because they don't fall in line with our agenda. This is also during the time when the Bible was edited to be what the Bible is by Constantine, and that group, all the leaders of the time got together and said, okay, we need to get one unified religion and we need to have one doctrine, one book, and we need to sit here and decide what we're going to put in the book and what we're going to leave out. And that's where you have all these different books, like the Book of Mary Magdalene that didn't make it, these other prophets that wrote books during the time of Jesus.
The Book of Enoch, too, that they do not, they don't.
That they, hid and that we recently found. So all those things.
Good Lord.
And so from there, then they decided, okay, so we're going to say that anything witchcrafty is bad.
It's
so
demonic.
If you see a woman doing medicinal anything, herbal anything, or any type of ceremony, which it's really ironic because church services are all ceremonial.
They're all rituals.
They're all rituals and ceremonies.
They're just
of that time.
Yeah.
So they literally took bits and pieces of pagan rituals and holidays and things like that, and just slightly modified them, and then said, "Oh, this is Christianity now. This is not bad. This is good because we've slightly modified it." And then they did that because they knew that if they just completely wiped everything out and changed everything, that the people would, not accept. They'd be like, well, you can't just come in here and change our whole religion. Like, we hold these things sacred, like people have done for centuries, right? So religion is a very touchy thing. That don't mess with my religion. Don't mess with my beliefs. Don't mess with my God. Don't mess with my, my structure, my faith. So they just
good
for their own agenda.
And you know what's ironic to me is that they really went out there and said, oh, estas viejas, like they're bad, they're demonic or they're witches, right? But they were using things to heal people. Not all of them, of course. I'm sure there were some bad ones in the groups, but there were healers that would use herbs to manifest or to heal or whatever. Herbs come from the ground. They come from earth. If there is a source or a creator or a God, then God, I'm assuming, right? Like if he created everything, then he would have created these things too. So to me, it's just ironic. Like,
yeah. And it just goes back to the thing, like, were people using that type of knowledge to do bad? Sure.
Of
people
course.
do it all the time. Anything that's a resource on this earth can be used for good and bad. And like this weekend when we had our class, I gave that example of, okay, well, anything can be used for good or bad. This cup of coffee that I have in my hand, right? I can use it for good by offering someone a warm cup of coffee.
Sure.
I can decide, you know what, I'm going to use it for bad and lob it upside somebody's head. That's two different things.
But it's a cup.
But the cup is just the cup.
It's
all
your
about
intent.
the intention that you put in what you're going to use it for. So,
that makes sense.
And then I got really into this other book. It was written in the 1950s, and it was anthropological view of curanderismo and brujeria in Mexico.
Yeah, you told me about
at that
right?
time.
Yeah.
And
that sounds so interesting.
And so it was written by American archaeologists or anthropologists, I'm sorry. And they toured around Mexico, like southern Mexico, trying to figure out, well, what is this brujeria, this curanderismo, and what's the difference? And let's write a book about it and explain it, right? But because the book is written in the 1950s, it has very negative connotations, negative wording, of the time, a lot of racism, prejudice, just of the time. So I did start to read that, and I thought that was really interesting too. And the main thing I found interesting is that there's the difference between a brujo and a curandero. And so I understood it to be, for example, a curandero, you will go to a curandero for a barrida, a limpia. Hey, I'm feeling ill. I've gone to the doctor. They can't figure it out. I feel like it's something spiritual. I had conflict with so-and-so, and ever since then, or I fell, or something happened. And the curandero, okay, pues te barro, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Here's the solution to the problem. You have to go do this, this, and that. And that's it. So, según te curan and you're off. A brujo, however, is a person that has the gift of curanderismo, but uses it in a way for returning profit. So a brujo, you're going to go to a brujo and you're going to say, hey, I have this ailment. I need a barrida, limpia, whatever. And then the brujo is going to be like, oh, sí, mira, te tienen envidia. Alguien te tiene embrujado. You have to come back 2 or 3 more times, and it's going to be this much each time. And this here, I'm going to sell you this amulet. I'm going to sell you this water. I'm going to sell you this feather. I'm going to sell you this little powder here.
And we hear it about it all the time, still to this day.
Right.
Wow.
So that's a great way to kind of determine the difference. If there's a person out there that's like, oh yeah, you got it bad, and oh my God, and we need to see you like 5 or 6 more times, and we need to do this and we need to do that, that's kind of a red flag. And if they're charging you for each thing, and it's like, oh, you have to buy all these things, blah, blah, that's also kind of a red flag. Seems a little
scammy. I mean, I understand. I mean, you have a business. You understand people got to make money. People got to pay them bills. But when it comes to spirituality, to me, it just seems so weird.
Yeah.
Or wrong to say, oh, yes, I'm going to help you, but I'm going to charge you so much money to help you. That doesn't seem authentic to me.
It's a touchy subject because, well, like the person still has to have a space to do the work.
Right, they have to still make money.
Spaces cost money.
Yeah.
You need material. You need eggs. You need plants. You need that stuff costs money.
You're right.
So I understand the need to for there to be some type of exchange, right? Back in those days, it was like the people would bring the curanderos, frijoles, grain, things to trade, like huevos, pues tengo gallinas, me pusieron huevos here. I don't have any money, but here's this, or sometimes there would be money involved, and a lot of times it's like, well, if you want to make a donation, you can go ahead and leave a donation. It's not like I'm charging you this set amount for set things. And especially the world we live in and living in the U.S., I can understand how it's very difficult to just be doing these services for free. Not only that, these services take time.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
And knowledge. I mean, there's research you have to do.
Take energy.
Right. That's true. A lot of energy sometimes.
So during this break that we took, I have been looking more into medical intuition just because that's kind of where I feel like I'm being called to do.
Do you want to explain what that is? Because I feel like not everybody knows that.
So medical intuitive, the way that I understand it, is a person that uses their intuition to let people know like of ailments in the body. Okay. And really, it's a lot like Reiki. It's a lot of energy work, right? So you kind of sweep your hands over the person and see where you feel different energy, right? So one of my clients, I guess I'll call them, they had a lot of heat in the stomach area whenever I just passed my hands over their energy. And so that let me know as a medical intuitive that there's an issue in the stomach area. Now, you're not a doctor, you're not a medical professional. Right. This is an alternative option because there are people out there that suffer from ailments and they've gone to doctors and they've had tests and they've had things and it's unexplainable. They don't know why they feel the pain they feel. All the tests are normal, but they're in pain all the time. And a lot of the time, the pain is spiritual. The pain is emotional. It's energetic. They have trapped energy. Then it's like, okay, helping the person process those emotions or that energy in a way that where either leaves the body or, there is something they need to get checked out. Like, well, for example, for me, if I go over and I'm, working on somebody energetically and you don't touch the person, you just kind of hover above the body. And it's almost like you're feeling the aura more than you're feeling the physical body. Yeah, because it's energy. Like if I were to do that and feel something like over a breast area, right? I would then suggest that the person go and get, a mammogram. For sure. Just to be sure. Like I'm feeling something here. I don't know what it is. At least at this point in my development, I'm not there yet, right? Because everything is step by step. It evolves, it opens up, you grow it. Just like learning how to do anything. And you're also learning your cues. Well, by seeing more people and working with more people, you kind of start to notice patterns. Well, every time I do this and I feel this, then I say, okay, well, I'm feeling stuff in the head area. Go get checked. And if that person comes back and says, oh my God, I went and got checked, it's this thing, that validates to me that whatever I felt at that time
can be connected to that.
To something, right? So then now I'll know the next time that I see someone and I feel that, I'm like, okay, well, I felt this on someone else before and they had this and that. So maybe go get checked for that.
It doesn't hurt to go check that out. That is really, really, really cool. When you told me about it the first time, I was like, it makes a lot of sense. Because yes, we have physical bodies, but as many of you guys already probably know, we also have energy, around us. We are made up of energy.
And we make energy. Our bodies make energy.
We also make energy ourselves. So for you to be able to kind of tune into that is really, really cool. Yeah, and I do see how it's similar to Reiki too. That's cool.
Yeah.
That reminds me, I know you watched the show. I don't know if you finished it. Surviving Death.
Oh my God, yes.
It's so so good. And we always say this about our shows we mention. But this one, you guys have to check it out.
It's on Netflix.
It's on Netflix, of course. And it is probably one of the best shows about metaphysical stuff, spirituality, channeling, sciences, just a lot of stuff that we already talk about on the podcast.
Like a 5-episode
I think it's like
docuseries.
Yes.
Each episode talks about a different topic. So the first episode, I believe, is all about near-death experiences, which...
Oh my gosh. It was crazy. I love it. You guys have to watch it. I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but they go in and they have different experts as well as regular people talk about their experiences. Like Kendall said, near-death experiences, or they talk about remembering past lives.
Past lives. Yes, that was one of the episodes.
Ooh.
Paranormal séances, ectoplasmic activity, which I do want to comment on the lady.
Oh, yeah. What's her? I don't know.
So super spoiler alerts. Let me tell you right now, if you have not watched it and you're going to watch it, just skip ahead. I don't know how much ahead you have to skip, but I do want to make this particular notation and comment. Is the lady that did the séances. What I think it was episode 2 where they talked about séances.
Yeah, with the short hair, right?
Dude. Like super bad vibes.
I thought, and I was hopeful. I am very, I'll give people a chance. But I could feel it. And I was like, oh, man, please don't be a scam.
Okay, so it wasn't just me.
No, it wasn't able
to. Like something in su mirada.
Mm-hmm.
It was something in the eyes. Mm-hmm. I mean, because the rest of the body can lie to you, but looking at someone's eyes is different. And I was just uncomfortable watching her. Mm-hmm. I was like, ugh, no me gusta esto. Mm-hmm. She's something, because what made me excited about this series is that they talked about universities that actually have programs where real scientists are taking these topics and trying to either prove them or disprove them scientifically. Mm-hmm. And these are departments in these universities that have been around for years, 50 years. And these are all certified, actual legit, not some group that someone made up. These are an actual university grant backed studies that they're doing about all these different topics. And what I find so interesting is that they're interviewing these scientists and they're like, well, I started this because I wanted to debunk it. And now they're more believers than anybody. And then the amount of cases, the amount of data they have collected over the years is astounding. And I didn't realize that there was these organizations actually existing. There were people that was actually doing this. I just thought everybody that kind of, research pseudoscience was automatically mainstream science doesn't take you seriously. So, but no, there are actual mainstream scientists that are very, the top of their fields that are actually, that have been studying these things for their whole lives. Literally. And so they've written books and they've written things and you're just like, man, wow, that's super amazing. So I was really excited when that episode started, the one that we're talking about the seances and because there was actually a place that you could go learn these things and take classes, something that you and I would be very interested in, right?
I thought it was so cool.
Where is this place? I gotta go look it up.
Yeah,
what is it? It's
take a trip. Switzerland or something.
And then that lady popped up.
Yeah, then it just kind of.
And I was like, oh no, yo ni mandaría a mi gato ahí.
No.
I'm serious. I was like, oh no.
You're like, I don't have a cat, but if I had one, I wouldn't even send it there.
No. So I was like, okay, that's. I don't know. Anyway, so then they have the what is it called? Child reincarnation episode about children that remember their their previous lives and these kids, and then they find the person that they claim to be, and they give the kids okay, well, of these two pictures, which one was your mom
in the past life?
And they're like, this one. She was my mom. She was nice to me. She took me to the park. She did this. She did that. Okay. Of these 3 people here, which one was your dad? That he was my dad.
How crazy.
Just they found one man was a Hollywood director man in the 30s or whatever, and the child was like, I directed movies. I used to have this green car. I didn't like this. So then they found his daughter who is still living and his niece, and they gave them a list of all the things that the child was saying, likes and dislikes. And at that time, that particular director didn't have an online presence. It was very difficult for them to go and find him and who he was and what he had actually done and his about his life. So there were things on the list that
no one would have known,
right? Little tiny quirk likes and dislikes that only his family could validate, and they did. And then, but the weird thing about that particular case is that the guy was now in his teens. And so usually when a child has remembers a reincarnated life, usually by 6 or 7 they start to forget.
Right.
Which is when we start to forget our baby memories and stuff like that. So now as a teen he was really I don't remember much. So it's kind of awkward to watch.
Yeah, I remember seeing I was like, oh, this is weird.
Because I was like,
but you
that's
can
kind of
tell
unfulfilling.
you can tell that it traumatized him.
Yeah. He was very emotional.
He was very emotional, and it must be hard. Okay, so like imagine this. You're born into this life and you have to adjust to this life you're living currently, but you also remember what you lived in your past life. That must be really hard.
Yeah. Like
trying to live both like a new life, but still remembering who your old parents were, who your old siblings were, what kind of job you had, the life you had. That must be really, really hard.
Just the fact that you miss the people that you had in your old life. Like,
and they're still alive.
Because they realize, oh, that stuff is over. Like, that life doesn't exist anymore. I'm in a new life now, but what about my family? What about my mom? Painful. What about my dad? What about... And so having to deal with that as a child and then the night terrors, like night terrors are a scientifically diagnosed, I don't know what to call it. It's not an illness, but you go to the doctor and say, hey, my kids, and there's a difference between having nightmares and a child that has night terrors. And they don't really understand the difference or what it is. They think it's some imbalance in the brain, things like that. But the one little boy he kept reliving the day that he died over and over. And he died in a fiery plane crash.
That and the mom said that crazy.
That he had night terrors for years. Yeah. And I'm like, God, I could not imagine going through that with a child every single night. And then as a mom, what can you do? And so, especially my heart went out to them for real.
Yeah, when I was watching that, I started having like flashbacks to when I was a little girl. And I remember I would always have vivid nightmares at night. But I was in between that stage of, like, I don't know how old I must have been, but I didn't know how to speak properly to explain to my parents, like, hey, I'm seeing this or I'm dreaming this. So I eventually I forgot about a lot of the stuff that I was dreaming about, but I was watching it and I was like, man, this feels familiar to me. It's so eerie. I was like, oh, I don't like this. It's weird.
You felt a little deja vu.
Yeah, definitely. And but yeah, you guys, we recommend the show. It's really, really, really good.
The last episode, which I really loved, was all about like hospice care, and about how how people act and the things that people say right before they're about to pass. And the big thing, which I've known for a long time, is right when a person is about to pass, and it's not like a sudden death, right? They will see or hear a loved one that has already crossed over. Like, people often say, especially in near-death experiences, like, my loved ones came for me to guide me to the other side. That's a big thing. And I've heard a lot of people say that. And there's lots of recorded evidence. And I found it so fascinating. Again, spoiler alert.
Sorry, you guys.
Go ahead and skip it now if you want to skip it. Found it super interesting that the doctor, who would go around doing like mobile hospice care for people that were hospicing at home. But he came to the clinic one day and was like checking on a patient. He's like, oh man, he's doing better. Like, I think he's going to be okay or whatever. And then the nurse is like, oh no, he's dying. And the doctor looked at her like, I'm the doctor, you're the nurse. Like, how you going to tell me, right? And he goes, well, why do you say that? And she said, oh, he's starting to see his loved ones. Oh, wow. And sure enough, he died that day.
That's
and
crazy.
So she knew. And nurses know so much more.
Yeah, they're intuitive.
I'm sorry, like.
Nurses are very intuitive.
Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, doctors are great, but without the nurses.
You wouldn't.
Come on.
You wouldn't be able to do it. This is true. And they have like a checklist essentially. Like, okay, the person starts going through this, and that. Yeah. Their time might be cleaning clothes. Yeah. And sure enough, it does.
Very interesting series. Please watch it by all means. Definitely. Yeah. And right in episode 1, right at the beginning, they explain this vastness of spiritual awakening in 2020 and the reason why. And I felt like that was the best explanation I'd ever heard. And I won't repeat it. I'll let y'all watch it. It's in the first episode. It's like within the first 2-3 minutes. So I was like, yes, that's the best way to explain it.
They really took the time. It shows to put the show together to help educate people about it. I mean, I'm really grateful that Netflix put a show like this on there because more people need to hop on. And then boat.
I also want to talk about the movie Soul. Have you seen it?
Oh my gosh, Soul! Yes, you guys, y'all gotta watch Soul too. It's on Disney Plus, right?
Disney Plus.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a Pixar. And I watched it because I kept seeing people talking about it. And, it's a cute movie. And Jed doesn't watch movies. She don't care nothing about a movie except for Moana. And she only likes that one song, and that's it.
Oh,
so I put it on so we can, and of course she was like, all right, Mom, whatever. This is all you. I'm gone. And she went and go do her thing. So I was stuck there watching
it anyway.
And then once they started talking about all the things and the verbiage and the explanations, and I was just like, oh my God, this is my favorite movie
it's
ever.
It's the best Disney movie.
And it's so appropriate for the time. Like what they would come out now during this at this time and talk about all the things that we talked about in season 1 of our podcast. So
it all made sense. And I really loved how they made it into a kid's movie.
It's a great way to introduce your children to spirituality, concepts of life after death, death. Like the man, okay, I won't spoil that one.
So
watch it. It's great.
It's great.
Watch it with your kids and encourage them to ask you questions. And it also will help us as parents to understand how our kids see that now. So by watching that movie, you can ask them like, well, did you think, what do you think happens? Like, how do you feel about death? Like, and just kind of start to introduce these topics and these conversations. They're great conversation starters for parent and the child. And
that's true.
I found that amazing. And
that's so
for sure my favorite movie thus far.
I literally was obsessed. I can watch it again. I want to watch it again. So that way I can really look at all the symbolism more deeply.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot. One thing, and this is a spoiler, you guys, sorry, but I want to tell Kendall so bad. Yeah. You know how the people I guess once they passed or whatever, the people that were helping the little, like they were the new souls or whatever.
Yes.
So the tall beings.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Watchers, isn't that what they were called?
Yeah, the Watchers, sorry, I don't remember what they were called.
Yeah, I'm not 100% on that either.
Okay.
It might be something else.
Let's call them the Watchers. So those Watchers... Okay, just keep that in mind. Keep them in mind, like what they looked like. Now, the lady that was counting the numbers, like how many people were going through.
Yeah.
She was really short.
Yeah.
Okay. She was the only one that was that short, and she was obsessed with numbers, obsessed with like being perfect, and all, like would freak herself out.
Yeah.
Now the Watchers were tall, angelic beings, and so Pixar, what they were trying to do is show how they've grown. How that lady has not grown and therefore she's short.
Oh, I didn't even pick up on that.
Yeah.
So she was still too stressed out and involved in like
lower frequencies.
And they were all very like nicely dismissive of her panic.
Yes. Like, hey, calm down. It's
cool.
All right. Just take a break.
Yeah.
Like
nothing's perfect.
Right?
Dang.
It's part of life. And just like that, there's other little...
I need to watch it again. I did not catch that.
I didn't either until... I'm really weird. So like after I watch a movie that I like to go on YouTube and search like a person basically dissecting the movie to its core and all the little symbolism. And that was one of the things that they mentioned. And I was like, man, that is so cool.
That is really cool.
They were basically depicting universal angelic quote unquote beings.
Right.
Yeah. I thought that was beautiful. Yep.
I have to watch it again. Now I want to watch it again just to kind of, I needed to soak in, and I wanted to appreciate that first run, and then I can go back and be like, okay, now I'm ready to look at it in a different perspective with a different, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
You show right.
Yeah. Now it makes sense. Yeah. It was a really beautiful movie. Yeah. I'm glad that they put it out this year, and hoping that they put out, there are a couple more movies actually that are kind of like that. But I'm hoping that they do more things like that. I think that'll be great.
Yeah. And I mean, it would make sense. I think so. I think we're going to start to see more spirituality being introduced into media. The more it becomes less taboo to talk about these things. And great quotes from the Surviving Death series where people talk about, like, before we could never have discussions about this, especially as a scientist, because you were automatically crazy or hokey or weird or hippie. And now it's starting to become more acceptable because it's undeniable. There's so much data. There's so much data that we can't really just coincidences, or this is just like what do they call it when it's more than one person having the same hallucination or delusion? It's mass delusion or whatever. Like, well, no, I don't think so.
There might be something more to it that we just don't want to don't want to accept, maybe.
Yeah, some people aren't ready.
Mm-hmm. But it's coming. It's slowly but surely. Yeah. People are waking up and they're like, wait, what? Hold on, this is all connected? What? So, yeah.
To switch topic a little bit, on the alien front.
Oh, man. I knew we had to talk about that.
So today I saw a link from MUFON. And if you guys don't remember, MUFON is that organization that I talked about in one of the alien podcasts, that their sole purpose is to collect data about UFOs and then organize it and then to kind of debunk which cases are real, which cases are fake. So they're a nonprofit organization. They've been around since 1969. And today they put out a link on their Facebook from Fox News that says UFO documents released by CIA are, quote, real life X-Files, experts say. Now, for those of you that don't know what the X-Files are.
I don't know what the X-Files are. Can you please tell us?
The X-Files was a show that came out in the 90s, like 93, 94. It's Fox Mulder and Dana Scully are the two main characters. David Duchovny and, I can't think of her name now. Well, anyways, Dana Scully. So Scully and Mulder, right? And the premise of the show was that they were FBI agents, and the guy, Mulder, he was into extraordinary cases, things that defied normality, right? Okay. So like paranormal things weird cases that the FBI didn't really know what to do with. They're like, hey, this is weird. We don't really know what's going on here. We need somebody to investigate these cases. But the FBI didn't take them very seriously.
Of course.
Right? So they're like, oh, let's find a guy that'll, work these cases somewhere in the basement. So
somewhere in the basement.
Right. And so he did, because he had a UFO experience as a child where he claims his little sister was abducted by aliens one night when they were home alone. And he couldn't stop it because he was paralyzed. So that's the reason why he has all interest in all these different, he's super open-minded. So then they pair him with Dana Scully. Now, Dana Scully is FBI agent. She's also a doctor. She has psychological training. So she's there to kind of keep him in line and for the FBI to keep tabs on what he's doing.
That makes sense.
So she's the voice of reason. She's the one that's like, okay, yeah, maybe it's a UFO, but maybe it's also this other thing, right? More science-based. And then as she's working the cases with him, they're weird cases. And so it's a lot of unexplained things, like things that she cannot explain as a medical professional, as a scientist, so it's a great series. So every episode is a different case, right? Different things. So that's what they mean when they say X-Files.
Oh,
so
that makes
those
sense.
Cases, because each episode is crazy, like things that, fictional, right?
Okay.
So now they're saying, okay, well, the documents they've released. And then I don't know, I posted it in the Brujajas on Facebook, but a couple months ago, we requested from the CIA to release documents because in the UK, the government released a bunch of documents that they had in terms of like programs that they use to investigate these quote unquote mysterious things, UAPs, UFO, all that stuff. So they released documents. But of course, the documents they released are minimal. There's 2,700 pages that you have to sift through. A lot of information is redacted. It's a lot of it's from the 50s, 60s, 70s, which that's fine because according to them during that time, none of this stuff was happening, right? And so now here we are in 2020 and they're like, okay, we're going to go ahead and release those documents to let y'all know that, yeah, maybe some stuff was happening back then when we said nothing was happening.
Oy.
So
why you gotta be like that? Come on.
So that's something that's new. And then I also saw that there was a clip of a newish UFO that was taken from a naval military airplane. Really? And that's recent, and they actually, showed the pictures, the images, and the pilot saying, "Hey, we don't know what this is. It's a triangle shape." So the pilots and the reports describe it as non-human technology driven or controlled by non-human entities because they don't have another explanation for it. All we know is it's not us. It's not ours. We don't know what it is. Are they saying it's alien? No. But they're not saying it's not alien. So
then come on. Well, I know that right now the whole UFO thing is really, I don't want to say trending, but it really is. A lot more people are talking about it. One big person that's kind of making or giving it the spotlight is Joe Rogan, and on his podcast, I know. Have you listened to his podcast?
Yeah, I've listened to a couple episodes here and there. I'm not a huge fan.
Yeah,
I mean, I like him, but I'm not like, I don't listen to his
all the
podcast
time.
all the
Yeah,
time.
no,
religiously or all the time. Yeah, every now and again, he'll have a guest where I'm like, oh, what does he have to say? Or what does she have to say?
Yeah, well, he's had in the last few months, he's had a lot of people that are like Bob Lazar. He had Bob Lazar.
Did he? Yeah. I gotta go listen to that. I love me some Bob Lazar.
Oh, it's so. There's things that I was like, no freaking way. Bob Lazar and people also that are friends with Bob Lazar that have been doing UFO research for years. I can't think of their names, but anyway, he's had a lot of people like that. So now Joe Rogan's like, holy shit, I think aliens are real. Mm-hmm. And now he's very interested into it.
Yeah.
And now, because he has a big platform, more people are interested in it.
Yeah. No, I don't think it's that more people have been interested. It's that more people are more open about it now.
Yes, thank you. That's a good way to put it.
If I were to tell you the amount of low-key people that have been into it for years, you would be shocked. And it's just not something that they put out publicly because, again, you don't want to be scrutinized.
Yeah, people are going to be like, está loca,
but
you know.
You can always tell. And I guess it's that thing of like when you're the way you can see that in other people, right? Just by the subtle things that they post or they do or the way they speak certain words, you know, it lets you know, oh, you know what I mean?
Yes,
and that's kind of how the UFO world has operated up until now.
Like all underground. Now we can be a little bit more upfront about it, and that's exactly what's going on. So on his Instagram, he's been posting a lot of stuff like, hey, the aliens are coming, you guys. They're like, they better land soon, because especially after what happened with the Capitol thing. Ooh. He was like, aliens, please, now would be a good time for y'all to land. Like, please, like, y'all can come down now. We need your guidance, you know, if y'all are real. So I thought that was so freaking cool. And he even put it out there. He's like, aliens, if y'all are listening, like, just know I would love to have an alien on the podcast.
Of course he did.
So, of course.
Us too.
Us too. Like, we're going to put that out there. Like, yeah, if there's any aliens listening somehow.
Imagínate que nos llegue uno ahorita.
No, stop, girl. They're probably like, these girls are drunk or something. No, but like
what would you ask?
Like, I would ask, that's a good, I would be like, damn, dude. You just put me on spot. What would you ask?
I don't know. I would ask. I would be interested in our origin story. Where does it all really start?
You know what? That would be a good
because
question.
You guys are way more involved than we have. You guys have been around for a million more years than we have. Yeah. So where did it all start? That's what I would want to know.
That's a good question.
Which is the ultimate like human. I need to know where I come from. Right? Yeah. We're always in this longing of like why.
Well,
where?
It would just give some answers and clarification because there's so many people that claim so many different things.
Right.
This will just kind of be like, oh, this is it. This is the ultimate truth, I guess.
And I'd be like, okay, which ones of our theories are right?
They'll be like,
which one of all these theories?
They'll be like, none of them.
They're all wrong.
They're all tainted, you guys. No.
Dolores Cannon.
Dolores Cannon. Good Lord. I would ask how. Well, I know that I just got a little download in my head when I was about to say that. I was going to ask how we can communicate with them more effectively. And then I thought telepathically.
Of course.
Of course.
Because they don't have bodies. They don't have lips, tongues, mouth. Like they're more evolved, you know? They're more. Yeah, no.
Yeah, so that's what I would ask. But I mean, not really.
That's crazy.
That's the answer to that. I guess what would you ask? Do they have a government? Do they have a government? Who's their president? Yeah. No, I'm just teasing.
What's real and what's not real? Are we in a matrix?
Yeah, are we in a matrix? This is all BS. I would ask what the connection between magic, spirituality, and alien or advanced civilizations is. Like, if they can connect the two, if they even are connected. Because I feel like they are.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like they are. And I also want more clarification on angels and aliens.
The difference or the similarity. Like, are they different? Or are angels just a particular extraterrestrial race that's kind of focuses on the good of mankind?
Yeah. And I sometimes I think it's ironic that we call aliens aliens and then angels angels and Arcturians, like they all start with an A. Why? Like, does it all come from the same thing? Like, what is the connection there? So yeah, I have a lot of questions. So aliens, if there's an alien listening out there somewhere in the grand universe,
and you don't want to go to somebody as famous as Joe Rogan, come to us. Like, here we are.
Like, you don't know what Joe Rogan's into, man. Like, we're open-minded. We'll serve you some popcorn and I'm just kidding. I'm so dumb. Oh my God.
You need some lashes?
You need you need your brows done? They'd be like, we don't have eyebrows. Ay, Dios.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Okay, you guys.
So yeah, but
that'd be cool. That'd be cool if someday things evolve.
We say that, girl, that'd be cool. And luego llegan los aliens y no sabemos dónde meternos.
They're going to be like, wait a minute, is this for real? Like,
I'm scared.
I'm going to hide in the restroom. Like, please
I take it back. With tinfoil hats on.
No, hombre. Have you ever been called a tinfoil hat person?
No.
Somebody called me that a while
Well, at least
back.
not to my face.
Oh, I'm sure behind your back, probably.
Probably.
Right? Somebody called me that to my face, dude. I was like, are you serious? I was like, I'm not even that deep into all of this. They're like, well, you worrying me. You're like a tinfoil hat person. I'm like, what the fuck does that even mean? Like, have you even done the research, man? There's tons of evidence out there that points to, clearly there's more to life and more out there in the universe that we are not aware of.
Yep. And I think that's undeniable. And I think
it's foolish.
It's
foolish, and it's
fear. People choose to reject out of fear.
Oh,
they're scared. They don't want to believe that that's a thing because it's a scary thought.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, okay, we're sitting here talking a lot of shit about, hey, aliens. Pero si llegara uno ahorita, like if something just appeared right now.
I would freeze. We would paralyze. We would go into shock, I'm pretty sure.
Because that's our human reaction. It's our bodily reaction is to be like, oh shit. And the adrenaline starts to pump and you're in panic and fear. And
what do you do?
Your fight or flight kicks in. And
what do you think you would do?
I have no idea.
If you saw, you've never seen a UFO, right?
No.
Okay, what would you do if you saw a UFO today?
I've never seen a UFO, like, for sure. Mm-hmm. But there have been plenty of times where I have been outside or driving somewhere and I'll look at a particular like cloud or something in the sky and I'm just like, and I feel like there's an alien ship behind it or cover.
I understand. Yeah.
What I mean?
Yeah, I've had a similar.
I've had a lot of those, and that more this year than any other year.
Yeah, I have too.
Where we've been driving, and I just feel like, God, that cloud is in like the perfect shape to like hide a huge ass craft, right? And then immediately I'm like, yeah, that's crazy.
But that's a thing. We do know that there's this material that you can basically become quote unquote invisible with. So
I mean, and it wouldn't be difficult to recreate clouds using some kind of technology. I mean, I think I can't remember where I saw this. I can see the images clearly now. It was some kind of like docu-show where they were talking about how it is possible. There is technology that exists on planet Earth that can help to recreate or simulate certain weather events like hurricanes, like things. So wow. I think it was one of those documentaries where they talked about the conspiracy theories of like, Katrina, things like that.
Oh,
like
that's
they are
interesting.
all of a sudden we're seeing these like super mega hurricanes and like weather events, and people are like, oh, like the tsunamis and stuff like, oh, those aren't man-made things. And then it's like, this guy was like, yeah, those can be made. Like, here's an example. Look, and then he was out in a field somewhere in Europe and they had this huge machine pumping out all this steam. And then right then and there where the guy was, this cloud formed from the steam. So all the conditions were right. And it started raining.
Oh, so it's possible.
So it's possible.
It's definitely possible.
So then I think about things like that too. Where I'm just like, okay, well. And then if they're so much more evolved than we are, that stuff like that would be remedial to them. And then I also think about when they allow us to see them, right? When we do have these sightings, I don't think they're like accidents.
Oh, no, they're not accidents.
I feel like, number one, they definitely own the technology to hide themselves.
Yeah, of course.
And
they have to.
When I look at the sky at night, right? So, we live by an airport, right? So, and not close to an airport, but in the vicinity where there's a lot of activity in the sky, especially at night. And when we're going somewhere and I see lights in the sky, where I'm like, oh, that's an airplane because of the flickering lights, the certain way they're flickering, the way the positioning of the lights, right? That's a big indicator. But then I think to myself, they would absolutely have a technology to mimic that.
That's so freaking true.
Like, and then, then that begs the
true.
question is like, so at night when we look at the sky and we see something, how do we really know it's an airplane?
What are we really seeing?
You don't know.
Yeah. And then I think about like the constellations. Constellations are they're so crazy. Like the way that they're perfectly aligned in certain positions, like that's how.
Yeah.
There's just there's so many things.
So many things.
I feel like we got to do another aliens episode.
We do.
This season.
Oh, because let's talk about the Hawaii thing.
Oh, the little
you shared that Joe Rogan posted about that.
Yeah, so there's this, when was it? I think it was like the week of the conjunction or soon after that. Oh, really? Before? I have to pull it up. Basically, I mean, if you follow us on Instagram at the Brujajas Podcast, you would be able to see, this post that
all the stuff that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And Carolina, I want to thank you so much for
what?
Like doing that. These
little posts
because I was not in a position to help you with any of that.
I know,
and I feel like you just took that and made it your thing and kept it relevant and posted and shared. I would do it every once in a while, but you were like every day committed, and
I found a lot of good memes.
That's amazing. And I want to show you my gratitude, and I appreciate that you took that on and that you had my back in that way.
Of course.
Because I couldn't. And thank you.
Yeah, no,
I
mean, I know
so much.
I love you too. And I know we're either, if I'm busy or you're busy, and it's a mess, but by finding that balance, And lately I've been trying to get more like serious, I guess, about posting with hashtags, because I realized like adding those hashtags in there really are helping other people
to find our podcast,
to find us. So that's really helpful too. But yeah, they in Hawaii, so it was like the first week of this month of January, there was a large blue UFO seen above Hawaii that appeared to drop into the ocean. And there's a video. I don't have the video on the podcast page, but there's a video somewhere out there where it shows the little blue light going into the ocean and then coming out.
So that one that I posted today, the one that I just read off, in the article, there's a video, a news clip, right, about it. And I don't know how old it is because it didn't really say how old the video was, but this is the one where the naval officers took a picture of the triangle-shaped image. And in the article, it said, the news reporter said that they witnessed it come out of the water. Oh, shit. So that's a big thing, by the way. I don't know if we talked about that in Alien episodes.
No, I don't think we
about
have.
The water theories.
Yeah, I do know about that.
So there's a lot of theories that like the Bermuda Triangle and the Dragon Triangle in Asia, that's why there's underwater, so Atlantis basically, right? Atlantis went underwater, and Atlantis is an alien civilization that lives in the ocean. And if you're doubting this, just remember, we know more about our space than we do about our oceans. Like I think we've only discovered like 1% of the oceans, right? As to where we know way more about what's space above us. So that says something. So it is very possible, and it would be very easy for a civilization to live underwater and us not completely not know about it.
What if they're right below us underwater this whole time, like, and not actually on other...
Something's down there.
I mean, something's down there for sure. Sure.
I don't see how it couldn't happen.
You're right. I mean, it's very possible.
So, I don't know.
Who knows?
I mean, there's lots of movies that, depict civilizations underwater, and they found a way to like pump oxygen into like a dome or something,
that's true.
And so for that, it's really different,
Yeah,
but,
that's very true.
Sorry, something just flew in my nose.
Oh, you're good. You're good. But,
so yeah, I don't see.
Dang.
I don't know.
Oh man, that's a lot.
I'm not saying yes, but I'm not saying
no. No, yeah. But man, I think this pretty much wraps up episode 1. I know we were all over the place today, but we just really wanted to hop on here, catch up, kind of let you guys know how that we're here, we're still doing this. We've just been really occupied with our own things. But yeah, anything else you want to add? A little moment of gratitude.
Yeah, moment of gratitude. How could I forget?
What are you grateful for?
First.
Okay,
no, I'll go first.
No,
okay.
I mean, whatever. No, it's fine. I can go first.
So my moment of gratitude, I guess, I'm grateful for you.
You're such a... I'm gonna start crying
again because you have helped so much.
Thank you.
With this podcast. And I know I've said it before in other episodes, but I come in here and I record and I get to do the fun stuff. And then Carolina takes our recordings and works her magic for a day and a half. And that's how you guys get an episode. So I don't have anything to do with that. And that's a lot of work for Carolina. And so I want to thank you for that. And also for keeping up with, you know, the Instagram account, the Facebook account, and for doing a lot of the work. And I know we're trying to find ways to make it to where we can share the load more, right?
For sure.
But right now, because of the way things are set up, because we have 2 different computers, because
it's hard. And then because I live on total
distance,
right?
So
Super far.
I hate to say it this way, but it's kind of only works if you do the work, right? Because one, again, you have the editing knowledge that I don't have, and so forth. But eventually we will get to a point where we can share more of the load. We need to find a way to streamline this.
Yeah, I know.
A lot better. And if you guys have any recommendations, resources, if anyone wants to volunteer to help us edit or to be a part of our podcast, to help us to, you know, take that on, then by all means, we're open to things.
We are so open for it.
We can't pay
we're rich.
Any money, but hey, maybe you see what we see in this podcast. You see the vision, and maybe you feel like, yeah, this is going to go somewhere, and I want to be a part of that, and I want to come in and say I was there when we started, and I helped, and then we would be open to that.
For sure.
And if you have software editing knowledge, better.
Please. Good Lord, please send me somebody over here to help me with that. Yeah, no, but you're welcome. And thank you for taking the time to say that, because it is a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
It's overwhelming. It's a little bit tiring, but it's rewarding to put it once it's out and we get that feedback. It's like, oh, thank God. Okay.
It was worth the work.
It was worth it. It was
so stressful.
It's a lot of, literally I sit down and I'm just listening and pausing and editing and listening, and it's a lot of work, but it is rewarding. It is rewarding in a way that I know that it's resonating with people, you know, and that makes me feel good. It's like, okay, it's for something. It's not just in vain. And yeah, hopefully we can figure out a better way. I don't know. I wish I lived closer. Like that would make things.
Yeah.
That would make things a lot better. But we're working on it. We'll see what happens with that. Yeah. This week I am grateful for the microblading class.
Oh yeah,
that was so fun. But which, by the way, you guys, if you guys are in the Houston or Texas area and you're looking to get certified in lashing, microblading, literally anything that along those lines, Kendall is fabulous. She certified me in everything, and she is one of the best teachers I've ever had, because for me, I learned a very specific way where like I need you to repeat it over and over and over until it finally clicks for me. And she's so patient, so knowledgeable. So if you're interested in that, please reach out to her. She'll help you with that. But yeah, I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for this weekend.
This is not sponsored ad, by the way.
No, this is not a sponsor. This is me being authentic. This is for real though. But yeah, that was because, as you know, I've been struggling with my depression. And so microblading, like yesterday when I was practicing, I was like, oh my gosh, this feels
it's so relaxing.
It's really relaxing. It's so nice to like let your creative energy flow. And I just never thought that I would be doing that.
Yeah. And you're so good at it right off the bat. Like, I'm so impressed. I'm so proud. You're going to do so great.
The first ones, Abel said they look like pubes. I sent it to my friend. She was like, they look like my leg hairs whenever they grow out. And I was like, girl. And then I kept practicing the whole day. And then I compared the two, you know, from when I first started versus the last one that I did. And I was like, holy shit. I was like, if I at this rate, I'll be way better by the end of the week.
Exactly.
So I'm excited. I'm really excited for this next chapter. So thank you. Thank you for taking the time to teach me.
My pleasure. You're a great student. I know you're gonna do amazing. You're already amazing at brows as it is. Your waxing and tinting is exceptional. Like you're one of the few ones in Houston that does it so precisely, you know, and I'm in awe of it because number one, you do it when they're sitting. I had to do it when they're laying down and map and angles and this and that. And you're just like, boop, 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 boop,
and that's
and then
it, I'm done.
Amazing brows.
Yeah. it's a lot of work too, but I think I didn't give up when it was hard. That was the thing. If I had given up when the clients were like, what the hell did you do to me when I was messing people up, I would have never became what I am now, which is like super easy to do it. And I just do it with my eyes closed probably.
And that's exactly this. It's going to be exactly the same thing with microblading.
Yeah,
it just is.
Yeah. And then one day I'll look back and be like, oh, I don't even need to like map it out. And like I see it and I got it and I put it down and that's it. But I know it's going to take time. It's going to take energy. It's going to take a lot
Lots
of
patience. Practice on latex.
Yes.
Lots of practice on latex.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I appreciate the shout out.
Yeah. And you can reach her at KO Beauty Inc.
Yeah.
On Instagram.
Okay. Or just K, and it's KAYELLE and then beauty. Because I couldn't think of a more creative name.
My gosh. No, I love that name. I love it. So yeah, you can reach out to her on there if you're interested in that. And yeah, as always, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in, for listening to us, for keeping up with us, for encouraging us to do another season. We love you guys. And
thank you so much. Yeah. And we'll be back next week.
And don't forget, follow us on Instagram at the Brujajas Podcast.
Yes.
DM us and ask us any questions. Bye.